You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
First of all, the 1619 Project at the New York Times isn't controversial at all. The only controversial thing about it is that it threatens to destabilize white people.
But yeah, no, it is incredibly threatening to white people to have history reframed not on their terms, but as an acknowledgement that this country was built a large part by the backs of our ancestors.
But that's why I'm bringing those two together, because with Governor Kay Ivey and blackface, it's forcing folks to understand that blackface did not just happen within the framework of post-slavery, because with Kay Ivey, when she was a college student, that was also post-slavery.
Well past slavery.
Yeah, no, but it was still post-slavery. Yeah. But the second, and the reason I keep saying that is because you have to, we make the mistake. I believe that we make the mistake in allowing white folks to basically to sever American history. The mistake in severing American history from 1619 to 1863 is they then say, okay, then you have the 12 years of Reconstruction, and then you have 1877 with the Great Compromise of 1876. The problem with that, the problem with Great Compromise of 1877, the problem with the severing is they don't want to admit that was a continuation. So for me, Jim Crow follows slavery, even with the years of Reconstruction.
That's right.
So I don't sever it. And so you have to link the blackface, because same thing with the unfurling of the Confederate flag. Okay, that thing was out of American society for at least 2 generations. But when the Democrats chose to put civil rights in their plank in 1948, that's when the white Dixiecrats lost their mind, had their convention in Mississippi in 1948, and reintroduced the flag, the Confederate flag, to this country. So all the people who run around with the Confederate flag, that ain't from the Civil War, that's honoring our ancestors. No, it's from 1948. So all those things have to be tied together, and you also have to tie Angela Davis together, because the anger at the Black Freedom Movement, the anger at Black Panthers, the anger, all those sort of things, they all go together, so they're all a part of this continuum. And see, as long as we allow them to own the narrative, to establish the narrative and set the parameters of the conversation, that's when it's like, oh, no, that was so long ago. It's like, no, it wasn't. Because, see, that was last week.
That's right.
And Black power is very threatening to people, because they don't want us to own who we are. They don't want us to own our history. They don't want us to be proud in our heritage and who we are. They don't want us to question that the system that we have in place was built on white supremacy.
No, it's true. It's true.
And I got to add in here, which we're dealing with here, is also when you have to bring it present and contemporary, because when you have just a story the other day where a judge is freeing a Black man who was 58 years old, who served 22 years in prison
$50
for stealing $50 because they pretty much had a 3 strikes rule. Okay, he had 2 previous crimes. In those crimes, nobody was hurt. Small amount was stolen. But again, for Alabama, oh no, you're going to prison. That free labor, that peanut system, all of these things are all tied together.
Absolutely.
And when we allow them to separate that from that, what happens is all of these things that tie to race become so disconnected that Black folks walk around believing they're disconnected. When I'm supposed to say, no. They're all connected.
That's right.
They're just simply all outgrowth of the exact same system that birthed all of this.
But I also feel with Blacks, we don't also, and I'm going to say this, I was raised deep with respectability politics from parents who grew up in Jim Crow, Mississippi. It's like we are almost separating ourselves. You know, if we adopt the language of the white man, if we straighten our hair, if we do this, if we're the good Black, this isn't going to impact us. And there is a belief in our community, we have to own this.
Oh, sure.
That someone, well, he deserved it. He did 3 strikes. He did. And that's one thing in our community I feel that we've got to stop. We've got to own that not all this is about individual responsibility. There are systemic, there is systemic oppression in our nation that has kept us down. But we're starting to buy into this.
But Joe, the thing I think that we have too, there are a lot of young activists who talk, especially with Black Lives Matter, often talked about respectability politics. And I understood their point, but I also believe that what has to happen is we also have to, I believe, step back sometimes and go, okay, I can look at something wearing 2019 shoes, but I really need to also look at some things wearing 1959 shoes.
Absolutely.
Because if we don't do that, what a lot of people don't understand is black folks in 49 and 59, even in 69, in southern states, there were two choices, live or die.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that is a stark difference that nobody really understands. And I was in Aberdeen, Maryland over the weekend because I'm doing a project on my parents' school, Havre Grace Colored High School, established in 1910. Right, and everybody knows the history of education in America, where separate but equal, really separate but unequal, and that it's that the Brown v. Board, 1954, I believe, that was supposed to make everything equal and it all went away. That's not true. I mean, and the thing that I learned most sharply is that my parents' school started in 1910. One-room schoolhouse, the only public education you could have for miles around. Right, and they established this school 1910 on, and it was something that they had to deal with adversity, live or die, get educated or not educated, and the very existence of this school was to prove that black people cared about education, to dispel a white myth. But the fact that Brown v. Board happened in 55, that school did not desegregate until 1965. So even though you had this landmark ruling, you had this echo that lasted almost another generation before the schools were really equal and integrated. And to me, that's a perfect example of what you're talking about, where we have a historical context. Everybody's talking about Brown v. Board. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody's suggesting that it was the thing, at least in the white community, that it was the thing that helped solve and put us on equal footing. But it really wasn't.
Everybody also forgot there were two, the Brown 1 and Brown 2.
Brown 2, yeah.
Greg, go ahead.
I was going to say, Joe, to Roland's point, this politics of respectability that you talk about, I bet you at the Havre Grace Colored School, just like all segregated black schools, most of them, the parents, the community that sent those children to those schools made sure that their clothes were clean,
Absolutely.
even if it was one pair of pants. We didn't lose that because of desegregation. We have to understand that our people came out of enslavement. To Roland's point, there's a new book out called Repair by Catherine Franke. We got 1,200 freshmen reading it at Howard this semester. Right after enslavement in places like Davis Bend, Mississippi, where Jefferson Davis's oldest brother had their plantation. Port Royal, the Port Royal experiment, Sea Islands of South Carolina. Black people coming out of enslavement, when given a crack of time and space, began planting corn and potatoes, began trying to put a little money together they got from their wages from the union to buy land. In other words, we always knew how to build community. What we didn't get after that, as Roland talks about during Reconstruction, the federal government betrayed those black people in those two areas and their wealth by not allowing them to be paid in land for the reparation for enslavement. And so we have to this day, because we've never had that foundation, we found ourselves not just cash poor, but land and resource poor, and you can never close a gap.
Matters.
Well, this is the point. That's what I'm saying is that as Roland went through that history, he went through that history, brother, when we've had a moment to ourselves, we've always been respectable. It wasn't about respectability in other people's eyes. We've always built that bulwark. And as you say, in Alabama, Kay Ivey has power. There's political power. But we've got enough black people. We saw it when they put Doug Jones. Those black women really organized and put Doug Jones in the Senate. Now you got a guy like Tommy Tuberville saying he's going to run. He was the former football coach at Auburn. To your point, we have to think as a collective. In Alabama, it's not enough for a black kid who runs fast to play for Auburn football and create an argument in the black community whether we should vote for a football coach. If he's a Republican, he's in the party of white supremacy in Alabama.
Amen.
And we have to now leverage the same respectability we showed ourselves as a collective to wield it against white supremacy. Kay Ivey shouldn't be the governor of Alabama. And in a minute, she won't be able to win an election.
But so you're doing that against a system that is built to oppress.
That's true.
I mean, we're talking about Voting Rights Act. We're talking about Alabama was the leader. Shelby reversed. Alabama is no accident.
Voting rights.
I mean, it's no accident.
But I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna pull my guest in about 30 seconds. But I still go back to a basic and fundamental premise that I have that's on all these issues. What is required in Black America today is an absolute deprogramming and reprogramming.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Because to your point about the respectability piece, I totally understand, and I don't begrudge anybody black who says, play the game so you can live. But when we still are playing the respectability politics and it's actually hurting us, that's the difference. And I think when I talk about this deprogramming and reprogramming, it's and one of the things when King gave his speech, and it was one of the speeches where he talked about and he in Chaos or Community, he talked about it as well. He talked about Emancipation Proclamation and writing your own. And a lot of people, because he talked about black love. And a lot of people don't hear that King because we have placed King in this totally different context. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and in a second, and I'm gonna play this because for folks who haven't heard it, I think what it does is it also forces us to hear what he's saying when he's talking about writing your own Emancipation Proclamation. And so go to my iPad, please.
Come here tonight and plead with you. Believe in yourself and believe that you're somebody. And as I said to a group last night, nobody else can do this for us. No document can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. No Kennysonian or Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, he must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation. Don't let anybody take your manhood. Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. There's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
November 7th through 11th, I want y'all to roll with me to Cabo, folks. We're going to have a great time. Life Luxe Jazz experience. Top-notch music, unbelievable food, libations. Y'all know I don't drink, but y'all can go ahead and drink. And, of course, golf, spa, wellness, all that good stuff at Omnia Day Club Los Cabos, nestled on the Sea of Cortez in the celebrity playground of Los Cabos, Mexico. We're going to have a great time. I'm one of their ambassadors, of course. It's going to be an amazing. All these jazz artists are going to be performing, folks, over the 4 days, which is crazy. Mark Curry, he's going to be actually the host of all of this thing. Then, of course, you have my frat Gerald Albright, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madan, Incognito, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donna McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Funkin' for Jamaica, Ronnie Laws, and Ernest Quarles. It is an unbelievable schedule, folks, of concerts every single night. You don't want to miss this. Package is starting at $1,300 and going all the way up to more than $2,000, depending upon, of course, the hotel you're staying at. And so we're going to be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered that Thursday and Friday from the location there. And so I want you to come hang out with us. And also, my birthday is like a few days later, so we can actually make it a birthday party and a jazz experience. So for more details, go to lifeluxejazz.com, LIFELUXE jazz.com. It's going to be a great time had by all. Trust me, packages are running out. We want you to get there. And so we're going to have a fabulous, fabulous time. And you know what? I might even crack out me a Kente Kente linen short set. I'm just saying.
Oh, short set.
I might crack out the Kente linen short set. We'll see. We'll see what we do.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.